Welcome all for the second presentation on Individual Development Plan. In this presentation, I will summarize what you can learn from literature related to the IDP. Let's get started. First, I would like to go over some statistics that highlight why we need IDP for mentoring our students. The first important statistic that I want to share is how our graduate students feel during the graduate life. It says that most of our students are worried about their career, especially they think about whether their effort will pay off in earning them a satisfying and well compensated career. And the second important statistic that comes related to graduate life is most of our graduate students have symptoms of depression and anxiety. It is more than 3 times of our general population. This statistics is confirmed by the one statement, the final statement that stated in Woolston publication that one student says that every university should have a special room reserved for graduate students to get some crying time because she thinks that all graduate students are overwhelming. So we need to create some environment that graduate students are not this much overwhelming, but a supportive environment. That is the one we can create using IDP. The second statistic that I want to share is to reduce your misconception about that hoping that most of our doctoral students going for academic career. If you see the data from the survey of Earned Doctorate 2020, you see that only 35% of our total student population seeking postdoctoral study. And also if you see that in employment category from total only 10%, around 10% is seeking academia job. And if you see the defined employment category, if you see that 39 points from the all who seeking employment go for the academic, and there are equal percentage go for industry and business category. So we need to get away our misunderstanding that our graduate students are mostly seeking academic job career. The third statistic is kind of related to what I said earlier in the previous slide. I noted that nearly 50% of our graduate students are seeking non-academic jobs. So why they are seeking non-academic jobs? If you clearly say the median salary range between the academia and industry, you see that definitely academic jobs earning less. And this situation becomes worse when we go to the postdoctoral salary. They are even earning less than the academia. So we need to build awareness about this salary gap for our graduate students. They can plan their future with the knowing what they can accept each category of the job. So now you have a understanding of why there is a need for using IDP for mentoring our graduate student. Let's move back and look at history of IDP. In 2002, Federal American Society for Experimental Biology introduced IDP to mentor postdoctoral fellows. In 2009, NSF required having postdoc mentoring plan in their proposal submission process. And 2011, National Postdoc Association identified IDP as best practices to mentor postdoctoral students, postdoctoral trainees. And simultaneously or soon after that, in 2012, there is a web-based tool called MyIDP established, allowing or most of the STEM career students to get this career planning using a web-based tool to guide the whole process. And 2015, to improve the IDP use, NIH recommended or implemented a policy requiring IDP as a reporting requirement in their grants. And in addition, in 2019, National Academies of Science, Engineering and Medicine identified IDP as a best mentoring tool that helped mentors to train their trainees. After listening to the history of IDP, I would like to give you some overview about the IDP use. Among graduate students, nearly 53% required to complete the IDP in 2016. In 2020, or recent statistics say that among engineering students, 30% complete or use IDP for their graduate program. Among the postdoctoral level, the use is a little bit less compared to the doctoral student in earlier days, like around 19%. But in 2016, they have moved into the like 54% completed and 38% find it useful. In moving back to a little bit more data on the usage, so if you find like IDP, it's most kind of effective when they complete it with the mentors or with help of mentors. One data shows that in 2016, among students who completed the IDP, 39% have used their help from mentors to develop the IDP plan. Overall, the awareness of the IDP is mostly high in administrative officers, but very less in the mentors. After moving back from the IDP usage, let's think about IDP process and give some overview to you. So completing IDP process for some universities it is optional, but for some it is a mandatory requirement for graduation. This goes to the further level for the some institution. They incorporated IDP to the graduate professional course and students earn credit for doing IDP or engaging in career planning. Another aspect of IDP that you need to know is the IDP process and how it's conducted by each institute or department or program is very diverse, and they use different format, different process, engaging mentors or second mentors and so on. But there is some common step in IDP process that include self-assessment, like assessing skills, value and interest, and selecting the career path, and based on the career path, formulating goals and action plan. Then student and mentors make the implementation plan and follow up regular basis. This is the general step in any IDP process. There are some common tools to develop IDP is My IDP that's developed by AAAS. This have the career choices related to the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics-oriented career path. And for the Chem IDP is mostly have the career choices related to chemistry graduate students. And for the humanities and the social science, imaging PhD and the APA resources will help to develop the IDP. But in related to the imaging IDP, there are some career choices related to STEM researchers also. Therefore, especially if a trainee interested in academic career, imaging PhD would be a helpful resources for to develop your IDP. Evidence related to IDP, most prominent finding related to IDP is IDP helpful to develop a positive mentor-mentee relationship. Additionally, this is helpful tool to encourage to have a honest communication with advisors and mentors, especially in the occasion like as COVID-19 pandemic. IDP was an effective tool to mentor the student during the hard time. The second IDP is most identified as effective tool is because it increased the confidence of trainee to about their career goals and career preparedness, and also they have positive interaction with career development resources when they have going through the IDP process, because IDP process help them to search for these resources and get awareness about what are the resources available for them in the campus and also outside the campus. And also this plan emphasizes to developing the strength of the trainee, what they are lacking to achieve their career goals. In addition to that career preparedness part of the IDP also benefit trainee to prioritize their research and training goals and when they should achieve these each research goals. And also when you have a clear actionable plan, it ultimately increases trainees' productivity in research. In terms of the benefit of IDP, especially for the mentors, this is a very helpful tool to track the achievements of your each trainee. And also by doing this whole process of IDP, it helps you to create a lab environment which is very productive and harmonized. And another benefit of IDP is this helps you to improve chances of getting funding if it is a program emphasizing trainees, graduate and postdoc. And one thing is that we discussed earlier is graduate student population have higher kind of a depression of anxiety. By doing this process, you will be able to identify students who are in risk and have a kind of strategy to early prevention for the who are in very bad condition or the burnout condition. And also ultimate benefit of the IDP is you are increasing recognition as a good mentor who help them throughout their success. In terms of implementing IDP, what is the literature say? First is ask your student to select a faculty member whom they have a positive relationship. Especially this is important because this whole process will success if they have a honest communication with the mentors. Second is start at earliest stage of the training. Example, when the graduate student started their training, implement this in the first semester. Third is encourage students to explore career paths that match with their competency level. In other words, we know that some students are naturally good with some tasks, so ask them to find that kind of job that matches to their skill set. And also note that the time burden for the mentorship is minimal, so highly encouraged to spend nearly at least 1 hour during the semester to each trainee to guide this process. And literature says that female trainees are less prepared compared to the male trainees, and also international scholars and postdoctoral researchers are less likely to use the IDP. So as a mentor, encourage postdoc, female and international scholars to create an IDP. And also in the process, ask them to identify second mentor to assist with IDP process, especially if you think that your relationship with the mentee is not good. Ask them to encourage to find another mentors that help them to identify or have honest communication, especially if you have a student who are coming from underrepresented minority community. Try to find a second mentor that who have similar background or cultural values. Then the trainees can share their opinion or related concern related to their ethnicity or racial background. Some other tips in implementation is normally trainees are very good in identifying what are the weaknesses, but also we need to identify and emphasize that what are their trends. This motivates the whole process to doing IDP. And also during your lab meetings, or you should have a kind of monthly follow-up process for the IDP. That's just quick short meeting to check the progress of IDP among each trainees. And also, this process will be more effective if mentors also identify the goals for each trainee. This helps to have a mutual agreement between trainees and mentors and achieve the goals productively in terms of the trainees' personal goals as well as you mentors your overall lab goals or research productivity in your lab. And also always allow trainee to lead the discussion related to IDP, ask them or encourage them to initiate each and every activities related to IDP. And also the most common mistake that we see in the IDP is students are really kind of need help to identify outcome and actionable goals. And some other tips from what we learned from conducting interview with the expert. So always we are good in like finding weaknesses, kind of what we are lacking. But we need to encourage our student to celebrate their accomplishment. That help to boost the motivation and encourage them to go through with the graduate whole training or postdoc training. And also provide intensive to completing IDP and also attending related training. And another tool is ask training to use multiple assessment tool when they're trying to identify where their strength and skills and values and interests, because having multiple assessment help them to really understand where the weakness or the strength area. And we know that most of majority mentors and students have lack of awareness about the IDP process. So conducting informational session or the trainees or sharing more information about IDP is useful for in this process. Another one is it is really helpful if you can create a peer groups with trainees separately and mentors to discuss their personal experience with similar level of the community. For like trainees share their experience with other trainee about their IDP process, and also mentors share their experience of mentoring student using IDP as a separate peer group discussion. And the one most important thing that during this whole interview came up with, although mentors and the trainees willing to do this process, the one main obstacle is they forget to do it. So we encourage you to identify a coordinator or consultant that help trainees and mentor to follow up this process, as well as follow up with the identifying smart goal or revising their goals to a smart goal. And from the past experience, most of these experts say that the good follow-up process for the master student is semester-based follow-up, because their program is short. For the postdoc and the PhD student, it's twice a year would be recommended, especially for the PhD student who are at the later stage of program. But when the PhD student in the earlier stage have to have the meeting in semester based, that will help them to plan their degree or the graduate education more effectively. I hope this whole presentation give you some quite good evidence or literature knowledge about IDP. I hope everybody will adapt this process and get benefit of using good mentoring tools to encourage your undergraduate, graduate, and postdoc to be an effective scholar. Thank you very much.